Hello everybody. So a very quick video this morning before the market opens on MSTR stock. A huge change. There is a huge change for strategy coming that is announced. I understand why he said we needed more charts because there's big changes, including 2 different forms of buybacks. And I think that is a big deal. Let's talk about them really briefly right now before a more in-depth analysis, perhaps midweek when we have more market reaction. The stock, MSTR, is up 5.7% in pre-market. It could change, but at least right now we get the raw reaction unaltered by the moves of Bitcoin. Clearly, Bitcoin is up slightly. Yesterday, we were at 59,500 most of the day. It's up slightly, doesn't change too much. Strategy is slightly outperforming Bitcoin on the day, but we had much underperformance beforehand, right? So I say the market reacts positively to the news. More importantly, the market reacts positively in stretch. Stretch is up 9.2% in pre-market. So this is also fairly bullish. What are the changes? What did he do? So let's walk through them and I'll tell you kind of what I think. The first one is they increased the USD reserve. My intuition was right on this. Much of the ATM that happened, especially early last week, was to shore up the USD reserve. The USD reserve now is higher than it was before the convertible buyback, before the 1.5 billion convertible buyback. We now have a higher than ever USD reserve. The market should notice that. This is a big deal. Point number 2, which is also quite a big deal, is the stretch dividend rate increasing not by 25 basis points, but by a full 50 basis points. This is also a very big deal. We are now getting much closer to SETA, the so-called competitor, even though I don't look at those two as competitors. We're getting a higher yield. We're getting essentially 2 hikes in 1 month. And so he could have done 11.75. He did 12%. This is a big deal. This is also going to help shore up stretch. So now we have a situation where stretch has an higher than reserve USD reserve, 2.55 billion. We've never been this high. And now we have a yield that's 50 basis points higher. So clearly stretch is reacting positively to this right now. Again, we don't know what's going to happen midweek. If Bitcoin crashes to 52, it's all gonna go down again. I feel like I have to say that. It's still very Bitcoin driven. If Bitcoin crashes to 48, like everybody's saying on X, if what everybody's saying on X is we're gonna go to 48, if Bitcoin's going to 48, strategy is going lower, and the stretch is likely going lower too. Just want to put that out there, right? But if Bitcoin goes back to 65, then I think we could have bullish action. It's dependent on Bitcoin, so let's not forget about that. But for now, the raw reaction of the market is fairly positive, and it's reacting mostly to this news, so it's fairly positive. But there's more. Let's talk about what there's more. This is a big deal. This is a big deal. They've established a repurchase program of up to $1 billion in digital credit securities and up to $1 billion of MSTR. And you're going to say, well, how could they found that? Well, okay, they could find a few breadcrumbs of that through the operating business, right? They still make a few $1 million with that, but that buyback program realistically could be funded with the sale of Bitcoin, and so you could tax loss harvest some Bitcoin, and in the event that strategy were to trade well below NAV, net asset value, if you were to trade well below a mNAV of 1, then it could make sense to actually sell Bitcoin to buy back MSTR stock and MSTR shares. Now, when it comes to the buyback of the digital credit securities, so, Stride, Strife, Stretch, those buybacks would have a little more complicated calculation, but it would all depend on the yield. And my guess is that much of that buyback could actually go to Stretch, because we know that Saylor's main goal is Stretch. He's laser focused on Stretch. So also, one point I want to say, this could be signaling. This could simply be signaling. Sometimes just when you announce a stock buyback, the stock goes up even if there's never any real buyback happening. So that could also be signaling. It's important to point that out. Now, moving on to the BTC monetization program, they've added certainty. So Saylor must have realized that he spooked the market when he spent a bunch of USD to buy back the convert. So now he's adding some certainty, saying that the BTC reserve will stay at 1.25 billion. So establish a monetization program under which we may sell BTC to fund our USD reserve, 1.25 billion, dividends and interest expense, and repurchase. Oh, I was going to say, I'm going too fast. Wait, that was going to be the next one. That was 1.25 billion is the reserve. So it's in the next one. The 1.25 billion reserve minimum, that's going to be for the next one. No, so this one is what I said is they are okay selling Bitcoin, and they sell the Bitcoin to either shore up the reserve, a USD reserve, to either pay the dividends, or to either repurchase digital credit securities or MSTR, right? So that's a big deal. Again, I don't think he wants to do it. I think this is signaling. I really don't think Saylor wants to sell Bitcoin, but he's signaling to the market that he's willing to do it. If we were to have a true dislocation in the stock price, if we were to have something crazier, and if we were to trade at an mNAV of a 0.8 or a 0.7, he's willing to do it. Now, this is what I was getting ahead of. This is what I want to say here. The USD reserve, he realizes he spooked the market when he spent that USD reserve to buy back the convert. So what is he doing here? He's saying the minimum of 1.25 billion so with USD of 1.5 billion BTC capacity for reserve building strategy. Okay, so they have a lot of dividend courage, and they want to keep the BTC monetization as 1.25 billion. Okay, let me move on. I'll realize that in a longer video. The market's open. I gotta monitor my portfolio, so I gotta end this video because the market just opened. But anyways, then Michael Saylor. Okay, this is a big deal. Strategy expects to remain disciplined in its use of MSTR issuance, particularly when the stock trades at or near 1x mNAV. This means that Saylor does not intend to issue much MSTR whenever MSTR trades below a 1x mNAV, or intends to be very, very disciplined and only use it as the last resort. So this means that he is aware that selling common ATM kind of is nuking the stock short term, and he's willing to not do it as much. So overall, this is a pretty big deal. I would say half of the moves, so whether it's the repurchase program or whether it's the $1.25 billion cap on the USD reserve, these are signaling moves. These are moves to instill confidence from the market. When it comes to actually selling BTC to buy back the shares, we'll see if he actually does it. I don't think he wants to do it, but we'll see if he actually does it. This could be a signaling move. This could be a concrete move. We'll see. Lastly, the two very solid, concrete, hard signal moves that we're getting, that I think is making the stock go up. These hard signal concrete moves are the increase in the yield of STRC to 12%, 50 basis points. That is a big deal. I thought you would do 11.75 and then 12, so that is a big deal. And the biggest deal of this announcement, in my view, is the USD reserve being at the highest, at 2.55 billion. That's a true signal right there. That should signal a lot of strength in MSTR, and that's a big deal. And he didn't buy Bitcoin. That's the last one. He didn't buy Bitcoin. He just increased the USD reserve to help prop up stretch and other credit instruments. So this is a big deal. This is more than I was expecting. I was saying he should just do nothing and wait. This is more than I was expecting. Okay, now I think he has to do nothing and wait a little bit to see how the market reacts to this. That's what I think he has to do now. And we need Bitcoin to come back up. Unfortunately, with Bitcoin sitting at 60, strategies keep not doing well. We need Bitcoin to at least go back to 65 Bitcoin, please. But fear and greed is through the roof, through the low roof, right? Fear and greed is super low. The sentiment is really, really bad. The capital is moving to AI. We need Bitcoin to do better. That's the overtake. We need Bitcoin to come back. Anyways, these are huge changes These are big changes. I think these are changes that much more than we all expected. So very happy about that. This was not investment advice. This is not financial advice ever on this channel. This is only entertainment. I'm hoping you were entertained. Please like, please subscribe, follow me on Patreon, follow me on X. Thank you for watching and have a wonderful, wonderful day.